Gertrude, first you, and then I'd like to hear Tarun. It is interesting that at one point you said that there are disagreements even with Tur about the kind of articles you publish. How do you, amongst yourselves, how do you arrive at an editorial line? Who makes the decision? How is it made?
Usually it's Tarun and I, usually. But see, I mean, so most of the disagreements that we've had were revolving around the fact that we publish a lot of non-Shillong stuff, on a daily basis. That our site, it's becoming more, well, not to say mainstream, but it's looking at issues outside Meghalaya too much, more than Shillong-centric issues. So, but I think we've navigated through those.
I just don't mean in terms of the disagreements you might have with the group, but how do you decide? Do you have an editorial line? How does it? So, who decides which articles will get published? Even if you may not personally agree with a particular article, how does it happen? Yeah.
I think it boils down to the reason why we launched the site in the first place. I think we were very interested in providing a platform for stories which were, marginalized in a lot of ways, and I think we decided on the kind of diversity in opinion, and that, we should maintain that respect, that we may not necessarily agree. But as long as it's talking about something important, we've published even articles written by some politicians also from Meghalaya, whom we obviously politically don't agree with, but they had written on stuff that
it's important to have a conversation.
Yeah, even at the level of archiving, a particular opinion or particular, historical experience of some sort.
See, there's no party line. One of the things which is the way practically how we function. We are around 7 editorial collective members, and if someone commissions or someone asks someone to write, then that person takes responsibility of that. Because we also are friends, so we know that it's not going to be some hugely right-wing article.
But I think, that's the only
thing that we although it's not, we have published center-right articles.
Center-right.
Yeah, we have. Recently, I have been quite personally fascinated with, is there a possibility of a non-communal right in this country? Which is not Hindu fascist, which is old Swatantra Party. So there are people who are extremely liberal and are anti-Hindutva, but come from that right-wing kind of thing. So we have published something like that. Only sometimes what happens that it has to do with all local things. If there is any problem, then we circulate it. Actually, circulation doesn't happen much. If Gertrude, for instance, knows 5 people who want to write and she commissions something, it's her responsibility. Unless until someone, from the group will say, hey, that was a problematic thing. But there's no party line as such, because we don't even, I personally, if most of the editorial collective members actually have a Shillong political experience. Very few of them have a Indian political experience. So many of the things where the problems which Indian websites may face, we don't, because for us it's a foreign land. At CPI, CPM politics, or whether Indian state is semi-colonial, semi-feudal, or whether our position is it's a foreign country. Let's look at it. So that's why I think that foreign eye has helped us to publish things on Kashmir.
Yeah.
If Kashmir, apart from Kashmiri website, there is not a single website in this country which has published the kind of opinions we have published. So the Burhan Wani, the famous essay by Muhammad Junaid, it was on Raiot. Because we are foreign country, so let's have foreign country solidarity. And on Dalit question, we are not a magazine of the parliamentary left. We are not a magazine of certain kind of Dalit assertion. But because we are neither, and because we are placed in a...
gives us that vantage point.
So we have had all kinds of opinions, which actually is a minefield for magazines published from Delhi or Calcutta or Bombay, because there is a whole history, behind that. I don't know, your magazine, do you have debates like this? Should we publish this guy?
Oh, let me not get into that. I mean, more than that, the kind of debates we have range from like our own debates amongst ourselves in the
Amongst
office.
yourselves,
Right.
yeah.
Because again, we have people who come from various degrees of political affiliation and some people who don't. And we also have the same idea of an anti-right editorial line, but that's a negative editorial line. So I think we're still searching in some ways for a positive editorial line, but I think that also comes with specific articles.
Exactly.
So it's
The question
easier
we
to
raised
talk
every
about
time,
an editorial line. Maybe if we have an article in question, and then you can
yeah.
have a range of issues.
In terms of, what you said is a very important thing, that, about, it's important, the times are quite crazy, and we are always in mode of resistance. Pakadna hai. But if that forces us to lose our sense of humor, that forces us to lose our sense of creating something. Every day if we start writing about Adityanath, it's, that's not how we live our lives. And so if you look at, the Raiot articles, we have had now around 1100 essays. Because one of the things which Raiot does, which very few websites, alternative websites do, if you notice, we always have at least one essay a day. Sometimes we do 2 or 3, but that incessantness which the mainstream thing does, we can't do that many, but we do always one. We put out films, we put out memes, expand our cultural space. Why should we always be in that defensive mode? Let's be provocative of that. We have some regular trolls, the BJP trolls, who actually are political articles, they don't troll. Our cultural articles, they troll much more. Abhi editor, kya kar raha hai types. Because they can't figure out.
Yeah, that's one interesting thing. But I do want to ask this. I mean, there has been an expansion of the online field, and a lot of people mistake an online media channel or an online media organization as an alternative media organization. Where do you think, what makes one particular site alternative as opposed to an online site? Gertrude first.
I think in terms of reach, I mean, when I'm talking specifically about Raiot, that's there. Obviously, the people who read our stuff are people who search for us and are people who sort of agree with some article or the other. Since we're not funded, obviously we don't even have ads or anything. And I think coming from where we are also, publishing a lot of so-called radical stuff on Meghalaya or the Northeast also, I think, which is usually getting sidelined, most times. And that's one, I think. But alternative.
What if I say that we are not alternative media? No, seriously. I'm in Shillong. We are mainstream. Maybe we may be alternative anywhere else, but our ambitions are not alternative. I don't want to be footnote to history.
And restricted.
Why do we have to imagine ourselves always as an alternative? Obviously, one can get into the alternative thing of, funding, and we don't carry ads and all those kind of things. But at least personally, other collective members may have completely different idea about it. But I don't imagine Raiot ever as alternative.
I think I have to change the introduction.
No, because this idea of being an alternative at one level, like one website who I really follow, and I'm really impressed by that website. And again, I see it as not an alternative, it's a round table. It's a it's a website which has created a whole new mainstream in that sense. So similarly, Raiot, in terms of, it's not a magazine of radical politics. It's a much more of a magazine of a radical milieu. And in Shillong's context, the kind of stuff we publish, which are informed politically by progressive ideas, but for it's mainstream. It is we should not. I think there's this sense of being an alternative. I personally don't carry that ambition, but we are independent in that sense.
I think that's the correct
that is the thing.
term.
It's more independent. I think being independent is the key, not
Then
alternative. Alternative to what? Like we seldom. One of the problems, one of the pressures of alternative media websites is publishing statements, isn't it? So people send statements. We do publish statements, not that we for bhaibandi, for friendship, but we don't publish as many statements. If you notice, we publish, but if a statement says something,
Apart from the obvious.
I am in support of this, or we condemn this. What is the point? You can go to change.org, but if you write something about it, people read it. So we don't do that kind of statement. Alternative becomes almost like we have to be we don't have to. So like sometimes we get essays, people say, can you publish it today? No, we won't, because it doesn't
We get
work.
that a lot actually.
It is very important.
More with poets. They're like, can you publish this poem
Today,
Yeah.
because
It's topical.
We get a lot of poetry submissions actually, but we hardly publish. We're very selective.
I call it, I'm very rude, sorry for poetry. But we have published really nice poetry.
I mean, I used to follow some of the some of the translations,
Yeah.
which really introduced me to some very interesting things that I didn't know of, and I do have an interest in Indian English poetry or Indian poetry for that matter.
So we publish fiction. We have had some real Siddharth Dev, but that's also because it's a Shillong pride. No, Siddharth Dev is a Shillong writer. So for instance, some of the writers write for us also because Shillong connection. So Siddharth, for instance, in his New Republic article on Modi, we didn't pay a single penny to New Republic. He told New Republic that you are going to publish and they're going to co-publish. So we do that kind of. That's our capital finally. If you start telling about payment, can we pay Siddharth? We can't. So, but he knows that we will stand behind that article. So that's how we will have people writing for us.
Yeah, quite loyal writers.
Yeah, loyal
in that sense. Very loyal.
Also, I wanted to ask any strange thing you've heard about Raiot, apart from say a normal troll or I'm not asking about the expected strange, but something unexpected you heard even from progressive circles. Like for instance, you said some people thought it's a Kashmiri website. So.
Yeah, I've heard something strange. Strangely, at JNU, like some students were saying that it was too radical for it to be from Shillong, from Meghalaya. I've heard this, and this they said without knowing that I was, an admin there. That's about it. Otherwise, I've surprisingly had a lot of people coming up to me randomly, like all the time. In fact, in Delhi, sort of congratulating us on the success, quote unquote.
The strange, obviously, forget about the usual progressive circles. If it goes outside their immediate line, it's strange. So that way, they have never been able to. We have never been pinned. It's only now I think people who know that two of us are members of collective, but you don't even have our names. You never know. Like still you don't know. There are 6 other people and you don't know their politics, that what they are bringing. Like we have a very fascinating editorial collective member who draws cartoons. And we have this very popular column which works both for outside as well as for Shillong. It's called Khubor Phan, which is Khasi, like potato news, but Khubor Phan, and he draws. So we have, those kind of people. So hopefully we will not be pinned down.
Hopefully will always be elusive.
In that term, in terms of
especially politically.
Yeah, politically, like people, Like what are the great, our precursors are Countercurrents and Kafila and yeah, these are two older kind of a thing.
And in Shillong, we have the Shillong Times. I think
Shillong
we
Times.
are
we
very
compete.
conscious.
We compete with the largest newspaper
English daily
in
Meghalaya.
So that way, I think that hopefully the strangeness of our, because that's online world, unless and until that strangeness, that surprise element of surprise. If today I come to your website and I say, "Achha yaar, मैं खाली
So
कविताएं
predictable.
पढ़ूंगा," that can work. They can be great, but even in that, if it's going to be only one kind of a thing, I don't think it works. And it works, actually, if we monetize our site, we can, we have on an average daily minimum to 2,000, 2,500. Every week we'll have some essays which will go up to 10, 12, and we have had huge essays like Rohit Vimula's suicide note. It's weirdly it was it was on Raiot. So if you go to any website, its link is to Raiot because we published that.
It.
Or Neeta Ambani doing Olympic things, which is like 200,000 reads. So we can monetize it in terms, and I think the numbers are because of that. Because people we can never be pinned down. So people keep coming back. Even in terms of subscription of nowadays email subscriptions are not a real things. So we are around in terms of there are like around 2,000 people who subscribe, which is like, so when we don't publish, some of them will write. We can't afford any what is that sponsored post or that. So everything, other people like mainstream media sites which are liberal also, they have money, so you can buy Facebook likes and that. Whereas in our case, we are organic.
Yeah, we haven't.
We haven't bought a single. We can't. Where do we get the money from? So, and I think
a lot of, like we're all doing our own.
And many of our, like on Nagaland question.
Yeah.
I was really happy because on Nagaland women's question, you look for any key debate, it happened. It's much later, which shows Wire started asking our authors that, would you
contribute?
Or they asked us that would we be able to republish. I said, we have a simple policy about that. Authors can republish anywhere, we don't have. But if someone asks us, we ask the author, and authors say, okay, you can tell them yes. And if they are paying, they should pay the author. Yeah. So, because we can't pay. We have had offers from really big website. They wrote to us a few months ago. Can you source for us articles from Northeast?
Yeah.
It's a really
such a
huge website. So I said, yeah, you can republish. We want to publish. No, we want to. So they wanted to convert us into a syndication website, and we would have made money per article. We would at least can get 10 grand if we source, but that's not what we want to do. It's a huge website. And some of the interesting websites have now become syndication websites, the alternative. That's it, because that's where the money is.
Yeah. So I also wanted to know this and get a sense of how, like, do you like? I mean, I think you've answered this in the course of the conversation, but still, let me ask this. I mean, some websites outside say will see this. It's based in Shillong. It's our gateway to the Northeast and news and debates there. So I mean, how do you react to that label? Do you think it's a useful label at all?
I think we try to escape it as much as possible. I mean, I think all of us seriously have a problem with the whole Northeast tag, and even when we launched it, we didn't consciously think of it as a Northeast site. So yeah, I mean, I definitely not comfortable with it. I mean, we have a problem with Northeast as a construction per se, so forget being, you know, the gateway to such construction. Yeah.
Northeast. In terms of North, it's our view of the world. That's it. We are not concerned. Like other people from outside may think, although we have had pieces from that, Assam.
Yeah, but as much as we
Nagaland.
have pieces from Kashmir or somewhere else, you know, so
There's nothing.
it's unfortunate to have such expectations.
Only one thing we are is we are a Shillong website. That's it.
Huh.
It's a Shillong website. It's of such small bunch of people from Shillong
Yeah.
who run this website, and it's our view of the world. So things which
If
we
at
write,
all we have to stick to any
it's
geographical
just that.
boundary. Yeah.
So we are as foreign to Meghalaya also in that sense. Shillong website.
Gertrude and Tarun, thank you very much for talking to us. Thank you very much for listening to us.